In the calm after Vegnagun's defeat, Spira entered an age of exploration and rebuilding. Among the many visionaries shaping the new world was a quiet genius, a young Bhed boy named Shinra. Despite his age, he possessed a brilliant mind, fascinated by energy, technology, and the secrets of the planet. One day, while studying the far plane's mysterious energy, Shinra proposed a theory that this power, the very life force of Spira, could be extracted and converted into usable energy. Though his companions found the idea troubling and ethically questionable, they couldn't deny the potential. Shinra's early experiments were crude. The energy would not stabilize. Attempts to extract it often resulted in dangerous feedback. Still, the boy persisted, recording every failure, theorizing about a world where people no longer relied on pyreflies or machina alone, but drew from the planet itself. Though Spira was not ready for his vision, Shinra's ambition endured. Years passed and his experiments continued. He finally built a stable reactor in the Thunder Plains, and other Bhed saw the potential and joined his cause. But followers of Yevon only felt fear. This got the attention of a particular summoner who once called Shinra an ally. Late one evening, Yuna paid Shinra a visit at his hidden laboratory carved into the stone near a far-plane fissure in Macalania Woods. It was hard for her to visit Lake Macalania. The memories were too painful, but this was important. Inside the lab, the glow of far-plane energy pulses faintly through reinforced glass tubes. The hum of machina drowns out any natural forest sounds that may have seeped in from the outside. Along the walls, notes scribbled everywhere in Bhed. Shinra, no longer a boy, works feverishly at a console, his goggles flickering with data. As Yuna steps inside, her footsteps echo on the metal floor. She's older now, wiser, more grounded. Like a certain warrior monk, she and her father both trusted with their lives. Her eyes still carry that calm warmth, but there's steel in her posture. "I hoped I wouldn't have to come here," she said. Shinra, without turning, "Then you knew I would reach this point." "I knew you were brilliant and stubborn, but I didn't think you'd build this, so close to the far plane." Shinra finally turns, face illuminated by the pale blue light. "This is the only place it flows freely. You've seen it, haven't you? The energy. It responds to will, to memory. It's not just power. It's everything. We can harness it, not just to light homes, but to understand life itself." "I have seen it. I've walked through it, heard voices from lives long gone. I know what it is, Shinra. It's not just energy. It's souls. It's what's left of people who've moved on. You're trying to bottle ghosts." Shinra lowered his eyes for a moment, then gestured to a glowing crystal in a containment chamber. "Then let them speak. Let their knowledge shape the future. We throw away so much, lives, memories, ideas. If we listen, maybe we won't repeat their mistakes." Yuna walks closer, her voice soft. "Or maybe we'll make new ones, bigger ones. You know what happened when Spira relied too much on machines. Sin was born from that kind of hubris. Do you really think the planet will thank us for this?" There was a long silence. "I don't want to become like Yevon. I'm not trying to control people. I want to help them. Imagine a world where no one suffers from cold or hunger or disease, all because of what we learned here. I don't doubt your heart, but I've seen good people break the world with good intentions." She turned to leave, but stopped at the doorway. "If you go too far, Shinra, I will stop you, even if it breaks my heart to do so." Shinra didn't respond. She was answered only by the soft hum of energy. After she left, Shinra takes off his goggles. His eyes reflect that blue glow, full of wonder and conflict. "I just want to build something that lasts." Well, Shinra continued his work, and Yuna made good on her promise. And this time, she didn't come alone. She was prepared for this confrontation to be much more than just words, and needed the right team in case things got fiery. She called on her Gullwings, Pain and Riku. They knew Shinra, and Yuna hoped bringing them along would help him see reason. She also brought along a young mage named Vidina, whose mother, Lulu, was now a high mage in Bhed. Vidina used a Blitzball to channel his spells, which made his father Waka proud. Yuna was grateful her old friends allowed him to accompany her. They descended in silence. The lift rattled, ancient Bhed technology groaning under the strain of years. Below them was a secret chamber built directly into the natural fissure of the far plane, a place that should not exist. "This is madness," Yuna muttered, "to dig this deep into the planet's spirit." She held her staff tightly and kept her eyes ahead. She thought to herself, "He wouldn't listen. He's built something even Vegnagun would have feared." They reached the core chamber. Shinra stood at the center, surrounded by Bhed engineers and humming machinery. A reactor towered above them all, a crystalline structure pulsing with blue-green light. Energy flowed into conduits, crawling up the walls like veins. He turned to them, and his goggles dimmed. I didn't invite you here to stop me, Riku barked. Well, that's too bad, because we're not leaving until you shut this thing down. You don't understand. It's not just energy. It's awakening. The planet is trying to speak, and we are finally listening. Vidina stepped forward, eyes burning. Or you silenced it so long that now it's screaming, yeah? Yuna walked to the core, her face pale from the force radiating off the chamber. Her fingers brushed a control panel. It was warm, alive. Whispers danced in her ears, memories that were not her own. Shinra, she said, trembling, you've pierced something sacred. This isn't just the far plane, it's something else, deeper, older. Then suddenly, alarms. The lights dimmed, and energy surged into the core. Not from the planet, but into it. The reactor began to shudder. A technician cried out, There's a feedback loop! The planet, it's responding! Cracks spread through the chamber walls. Blinding light burst from the floor. Everything shook as the reactor merged with something beneath it. Not a power source, but a consciousness. What's happening? Yelled Vidina. The planet was awake. Yuna turned, her eyes glowing faintly. We have to sever it, now! Vidina nodded. He turned his blitzball into a giant flaming orb and hurled it directly into the reactor core. But it was too late. The core imploded, not with fire, but with memory. Blue-white waves of life swept through the chasm. Everyone was thrown to the ground. When the shaking stopped, the chamber had changed. Gone were the machines. In their place, crystalline roots curled from the floor, glowing softly. The walls pulsed like a heartbeat. Vidina rose slowly, as did the Bhed engineers, their eyes wide, their breath unsteady. I can hear it, Vidina whispered. The planet, it knows us. They began to weep, not from the pain, but from something older and deeper. The energy had touched them in a way, changed them. Shinra stood up, speechless, as his people, who were no longer just scientists, began to hum a song they had never learned. It wasn't the hymn of the faith. It was something else, a melody from the planet itself. Riku turned to Yuna. Yuni, what have we done? She answered quietly. We stopped one disaster and birthed something else. In the years that followed, those touched by the breach found themselves changed. They heard whispers. They saw visions. Some claimed they could sense the emotions of the planet itself. Whether it was science or sorcery, no one could really say. But Shinra's descendants began to revere the life force, not as a power, but as a consciousness. They dismantled the reactors. They tore them all down and built temples instead. They wandered. They learned songs of the earth and sky. Vidina became their leader, being the only one who could create something magical from the planet's life force. The rest of them used their knowledge of Machina to help the planet. It spoke to them, and they listened. They wandered, they healed, they sang to the soil, and they spoke to the wind. And over generations, the Bhed faded, and a new people rose. They called themselves the Cetra, the nomads of the planet. They carried the memory of Shinra, not as a man, but as a myth, the first to listen, the first to touch the life force, and the first to understand that energy was not a tool, but a trust. But memory fades. Thousands of years later, the Cetra's wisdom was nearly lost. Their songs buried under metal cities and concrete towers, and a new company arose, bearing a familiar name, the Shinra Electric Power Company. They too sought the life force. They called it Mako, but they did not listen. They only took. And so, the planet began to weep. But deep beneath the reactors, in forgotten ruins filled with crystal light, some still remember murals of a boy with spiral eyes, blueprints etched in stone, and giant machina made of diamond, ruby, and emerald, constructed by the Cetra with memories of their Bhed machina. In the chambers where they lay dormant, a warning scrawled in their long-lost tongue. The planet lives. Do not silence its voice. Shinra and the Ancients. Inspired by the connection between Final Fantasy X-2 and Final Fantasy VII. Produced and narrated by Taylor McMahon.